Have you ever struggled with how do I practically make a difference in my life? How do I actually take the steps to do the thing that it is that I'm trying to do? Well, I've got a book for you. This is The Art of Plenty, and today we are talking about Marie Forleo's book, Everything is Figureoutable. Now, I do not know if you know who Marie Forleo is, but she is a champion when it comes to fostering a mindset that can really make a difference in your life. And this book is all about figuring out a way to be able to do the things that you feel called to do. It's about finding a way through difficult situations. And I understand that I'm being incredibly vague and generic when I'm talking about how to apply these things and the types of things that you may be trying to move through. And that's because this book is an overarching theme book about mindset change. And it's not specific to how do you become a better parent, or how do you move forward into your career, or how do you repair your relationship, or how do you decrease your stress and manage your stress. And the reason for that is because regardless of the situation, Marie's belief that's coming through in this book is that it does not matter. The circumstances don't matter. What matters is the way that you approach it, and that there is a way through. This book is optimistic. It is positive. It is all about embracing a mindset that leaves you with hope. This is a pump up book. You've got this and you can figure it out. Now, if you are like my husband and there is a level of skepticism in you when you hear that idea that everything is figureoutable, my husband, of course, says, well, of course, everything is figureoutable if you have unlimited access to money, which Marie Forleo has built up a considerable amount of wealth. And yes, money does make it easier to figure things out. But what I said to my husband is, well, part of the reason why she has the wealth that she does is because she's been able to figure it out. She is not a woman that came from wealth. She grew up cutting coupons. She grew up with, based on the stories that she tells in this book, a mother who was extremely resourceful, and her philosophy, everything is figureoutable, really came from her mom, who was a woman who knew how to put her head down and figure a way out, to figure a way through it. So Marie watched her mom do this, and then she applied this concept into the challenges that she was experiencing in her life. And she has built a brand, built a company, built a way of life that's based on this philosophy. This is not a scientific, heavily researched book. One of the beautiful things about the messages that Marie shares is that they're for everyone. They are very common sense, practical approaches, and she just shoots it straight. This is a no fuss, no nonsense way of understanding and looking at the world. And what I love about this book, and what I think she does really well, is she interlaces these incredible stories and experiences that different people have of how they have applied this principle that everything is figureoutable and essentially changed their life. And there's such a breadth of examples in there, and there's so many different stories of people with different things going on in their life. And I think that really adds value, and it shows that this isn't just a mindset or a philosophy for this type of person in this specific type of situation. It really does have a way of being transferable to lots of different circumstances and situations. There was one that stood out to me in the book, and it was related to somebody that was working through a sickness. And I can't remember off the top of my head if the sickness was a parent or someone in this person's family. And how do you figure that out? How do you figure out sickness when you can't necessarily hold the cure? You can't necessarily make that person better. How do you figure it out? And I think that that's a beautiful way of looking at this. It's not figuring everything out does not mean that you're creating or changing the circumstances or the situation to be exactly how you want it to be. It's a part of it is recognizing, okay, this part is not within my control. So how do I figure out handling things that are not in my control and still move forward in the direction that I want to go? And I really appreciate that. She takes these things that she calls action challenges, and like any life coach, Marie knows that you can't just read about things. You can't just talk about things. You actually have to figure out a way of doing these things. So she laces into this book, into the chapters, ways that you can take the teaching that she's doing and start to apply it to your own life by these written exercises. So what am I doing with this book? How am I applying the principles in this book into my own life? When I read the book, I just actually took it in. And I know this is the exact opposite of what you want to do with personal development when you want to find a way of taking it in. But I just really wanted to let this content marinate a bit and just step back. There wasn't anything in this book that I felt like was a big revelation for me. And perhaps that's because I've been exposed to Marie Forleo's teaching. So maybe it was that nothing was really that groundbreaking for me, but I really felt like this book is such a good reference book because there are so many practical things that you can apply, and there's so much good teaching in it that the way that I'm utilizing this book is like a reference tool to help people that I work with along the way to make changes and to think about things differently. And I also feel like as a reference book, this is something that I know I can go back to because the message in this book doesn't get old. It's not a fad. It doesn't change with the times. It has a sense of relevance regardless of the circumstances and regardless of the situations. It's just a bit timeless. And because it's so generic, I can see that this is a great thing that I will come back to if I'm feeling stuck or if I'm feeling like I don't know the way through in this situation. It's a book that I feel like I could apply in the future. So how do you know if this book is for you, if this is a worthy place to invest your time? This is a good book for you if you want practical tips to get unstuck. Or if you've got a challenge, whether it's personal, whether it's relational, whether it's in your career, and you're not really sure why you're stuck or what you need to do to feel different, but you're starting to feel deflated and you're starting to lose hope, this is a great book for injecting more hope and injecting more optimism that you can do it. Because that is definitely the principle that it seems Marie lives in her life, is there's a way through this. And yes, any kind of challenge that you may have, I think that this book would suffice to help to shift some of that perspective. Anything that feels unsurmountable, whether it's health challenges, interpersonal challenges, or even just realizing your personal dreams. Because her message is that you can get out what you put in. It's basic tips, but the work involved in applying these tips is anything but basic, because changing a mindset takes an incredible amount of effort. It takes an incredible amount of dedication. And the way that Marie presents it is in such a basic, straightforward way that even though it's incredibly difficult work to do, when you read her book, you feel like, oh, I could do this. I can move forward in this and I can find a way to figure this out. And the more stuck you are, the longer you've been stuck in that position, the harder it can be to get going. But I think as you start to turn the crank, as you start to apply these principles and start to shift your mindset, it's one of those things that builds momentum, and it gets easier the longer or the more invested and the more work you put into it. Send me a DM if you've read this book and you got something out of it, or send me a message if you feel like this message applies to you. Make sure you hit subscribe so you do not miss any of our book reviews that we do. We're hoping to do a book review on a personal development book on a monthly basis, and I would love to hear it. If there is a book that you think I should be reading, let me know. I'm always on the hunt for good content. I think human beings are incredible, and the creative stuff that people come up with and the principles that they apply and the research that they're doing, I love to hear all about it. So send me a book if you think that there is a book I should review and a book I should read. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is The Art of Plenty, and I'm so glad you're here.